Hi everyone, my name is David Ambrose, and for my presentation I'm going to be talking about sexual harassment. So first off, sexual harassment refers to one of the two types of behavior, the abuse of power for sexual ends and to the creation of a hostile environment. According to the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, it is unlawful to harass a person just because of their sex. Sexual harassment can actually affect both men and women, not just women. It can happen everywhere. It could happen in educational institutions, in the workplace, amongst friends, family, and obviously strangers. Uh, any verbal, nonverbal, or physical advance can actually be classified as harassment. Sexual harassment oftentimes gives the victim the feeling of being exposed and violated. It is not right for people to make others feel this way. People that make people feel this way definitely need to be reprimanded because it is not right to commit these kinds of acts. Verbal sexual harassment. So, verbal sexual harassment is a more casual form of harassment. It can be exchanged in simple conversation. A common way that this type of harassment occurs is typically through joking or just teasing. This leads to a problem. A gray area often presents itself when in these situations. It makes it harder for the harasser to realize when they have gone too far. Additionally, when in a joking setting, a victim may feel uncomfortable speaking up since the person started in a joking manner, and they'll feel weird if they decided to make a big deal about it. The lack of response can leave the window open for the harasser to repeat this offense in the future, and it just gets worse from there. Sexual harassment is often slid into conversations that may just be flirtatious in nature as well. These situations also make it hard to distinguish what qualifies as sexual harassment. Really, any verbalization that insinuates sexual actions or thoughts can easily be considered sexual harassment, depending upon the context of which it occurred. So, a little bit about physical sexual harassment. Physical sexual harassment is more obvious to detect. A person can almost always be sure when they were touched in an inappropriate manner. This kind of sexual harassment does not always have to occur over a long period of time. Physical harassment can be much more dangerous and traumatic for the victim because it is much more, aggressive in nature. If a harasser is actually brazen enough to physically touch another person without their permission, they are definitely capable of doing more harm. Physical harassment is against the law at all times and in every type of arena. Although some physical sexual harassment can encourage more dangerous situations, not all physical harassment is intentional. Physical harassment can be as simple as touching a person's hand while looking in their eyes. Um, the validity depends largely on how the victim feels at the time of the act. So as far as sexual harassment in the workplace, sexual harassment in the workplace is a very difficult situation to deal with, and really no industry can protect themselves fully from harassment. People commit this crime, and when they are hired, an employer is not really able to detect what kind of person will do these kinds of things. So it's hard to set a standard to eliminate this type of action. Um, to demonstrate the stance that a particular company or employer may have on harassment, harassment policy is usually put in place. That's the simplest step that an employer can do to prevent these. Um, Women actually are more susceptible to harassment in the workplace. This is mainly due to the fact that men are more aggressive in nature, um, and more men will do these kinds of acts. Um, the actual aggression comes from a hormone called testosterone, and as we all know, men typically have more testosterone than women, which causes them to be more aggressive. Not saying that women don't have testosterone, they do, and that is what causes them to be aggressive, just not as much as men. Some strategies for prevention. A good place to start for this is to adopt a clear sexual harassment policy. If this is done in the workplace, it can be very beneficial to its employees. One thing that a sexual harassment policy should have should be obviously the definition of sexual harassment. State that sexual harassment should not be tolerated under any circumstances. That obviously you're going to discipline somebody and fire any wrongdoers of this. You need to set clear procedures for filing sexual harassment complaints, and also you will not tolerate retaliation against anyone who complains about sexual harassment. Those are some things that should go in the sexual harassment policy. Another thing you could do is train your employees. You should train the employees to teach them about what is right, what is wrong. Let them know that to be respectful of other people's space. Some people may not like when you talk to them in a certain way, and you need to be receptive of that. It's also important to train the supervisors and managers to learn to pay attention when these types of things are happening. A lot of the times, employees really are embarrassed and don't want to go to their managers about this because it's very embarrassing and they just don't want to cause a disruption in the workplace. Another issue is when managers or supervisors sexually harass their subordinates. That's a bit more difficult of a situation. In something like that, the employee just needs to go to the HR department or talk to the manager above the person who is harassing them. Above all, the company really needs to take complaints seriously. There's nothing worse than dealing with this in the workplace. You spend a lot of your time at work, so it's very important to have a enjoyable work environment and really to not let sexual harassment be prevalent in the workplace. Well, this is my presentation on sexual harassment. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for listening, and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.